Oh, I like what's his name, Forrest too, but he's woefully underutilized.
Right.
Robert Forster.
Yeah,
Forster.
I thought he was going to be. I couldn't remember. I've only seen it. This is the second time I saw it. I saw it in the theater when it came out. I thought he was going to be investigating the crime the whole time. It's just
He's
like
a
he stared into the
throwaway.
bushes.
He
No,
was
he's
the
there for
the
10
bushes.
seconds, and then they yeet him out of the movie.
No,
Just,
he was the-
wow.
And he's gone.
His
We
partner-
never see him again.
That was the
well,
thread.
it's like Dan Fischler or whatever the guy's name is, the Jew from Mad Men, the Jewish stand-up comic.
Well, that was, I think, an accident because I think they put Robert Forster and the other guy, I can't remember his name, in this film to be like this thread that runs along the investigation of the thing. And of course, they didn't pick up the series, so it never happened.
Right.
But that
Yeah.
just makes the film more fucking random. Yeah,
It's trying to be Firewalk with You, where it's just like, oh yeah, we have
okay.
Because of the FBI guys.
yeah, exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we've got these
Okay,
people
okay.
who are coming in to investigate it, and then nothing happens, so they just fucking
Well,
put
it's like Twin
a
Peaks
spring
in
under
general
him
that
and
way.
shoot him out of the movie.
Twin
He's
Peaks
never
is all
heard from
about
again.
about the official investigation of something very strange that just happened. You know, that's what the whole Twin Peaks is about, right? But
Yeah,
they
Twin
dropped
Peaks-
that, and the nice thing is they went kind of like with the story about Naomi Watts. About I can't remember what she's called in the first half of the film. It's not Diane Selwyn.
Not Diane. It's Betty.
Betty,
Betty
yeah.
and
Maybe
Rita.
something.
Betty.
It's her story, and it's interesting because it just unspools like a movie
Douglas
from the 40s.
Sirk on acid.
Yeah, pretty much. It was really something. And,
Sheila made a comment. Sheila made a comment early on as we were sort of settling into the thing, and she was just showing up in Hollywood and was all starstruck and stuff. And she goes, "David Lynch has this habit of directing his very good actors to act like they can't act very well."
Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think he's going for the effect that you get naturally when you are working with bad actors, which is that eerie, disconnected feeling, like when you watch what was the one where the car goes into the river off the bridge we watched?
Blowout.
Blowout.
No, a long time ago, black and white.
Happy 40th birthday to Blowout.
Happy 40th
Oh,
to
yeah, happy
Blowout. No,
40th
I'm
to
talking
Blowout.
about Carnival of
It
Souls.
deserves it.
Carnival of Souls. Yeah.
Carnival of Souls.
Yeah.
Tonally, the way this is directed, it felt a lot like Carnival of Souls, where it was like everybody was sort of like they'd been beamed with a 2x4 and they were sort of walking around.
Except that if you
However, I want to point out that when we reviewed that specifically, it was like Herc Harvey stole David Lynch stole Herc Harvey's
Herc
brain.
Harvey.
Pretty much. No, there's a strong through line.
I forgot that. So here the circle is complete.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
But-
isn't
but-
that
but-
sort of okay if you buy into the idea that we are watching a story told by an unreliable narrator?
No, this movie sucks.
No.
I think that's giving it too much credit because all of Lynch's movies kind of play this way.
Well,
Yeah, he's a bad director.
He has a
Sorry.
style. I mean, I kept flashing back on Blue Velvet because he has this thing about
why
having
wouldn't you?
dark, a black-haired woman and a blonde playing
Yep.
off each other, and they even speak Italian in this.
There's not enough of Harvey Keitel's penis. Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell. And it's
One thing about David Lynch, and it's not overlooked. People know this. He is remarkable at casting women. He finds people to be in his movies that are just you've never seen it before, and they're stunning.
Yep.
Like what's her name? The Maria Herring, the dark-haired woman.
Yeah.
In this film. I haven't seen her anything before or since. Have you?
Not really.
Yeah,
No.
I looked her up on IMDb. She's done a ton of stuff, but nothing remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like SVU, CSI.
But Naomi
Other
Watts,
hand,
this
Naomi
started
Watts
this jump-started her
is
career.
luminous in
She
this
skipped
movie.
out on Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, to be in this movie. Because they wanted to cast her. They wanted to cast her as Eowyn.
Yeah.
I think it's, and she said no because she's from New Zealand, or actually
I
Australia.
feel sorry for her.
Yeah, and she said no, I'd rather be in this film. And I don't know. I think
She
Another
should have
bad
done.
movie,
She should have
but
done
that
that
was
because she
longer.
would have gotten way more money. Like,
Yeah.
that would have been far more.
Yeah, it stuck
financially
with Miranda
successful
Otto.
for her.
I thought was not quite as luminous as was it Naomi Watts?
Laura Herring? Laura? Is it Laura?
Elena
Laura Herring and Naomi Watts.
Yeah.
But it's Laura Herring.
Yeah.
who just worked. I thought was fun to watch those guys on screen, and they just did it.
It was fun to watch them make out.
Oh well,
Sure.
there's that too. It got pretty. Yeah, that he isn't messing around.
Well,
with
then
that either.
eventually they're naked, and it's just like, hey, boobs. Which
Yeah.
is
Yes.
the best part of this movie, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, there you
Like,
go. And not exactly.
That
it's
and
not
the
good or interesting. It's just like, hey, boobs.
Well, you knew
Boobs.
it was gonna happen eventually too.
He
so.
was making up for all the non-boobs in his other movies.
it was like a penthouse forum. It was like, that couch is so small.
You
Why
can't
don't you
believe
sleep in
this
my
hasn't
bed?
happened to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Why don't you sleep in my bed? Okay, I'll just get naked and climb into your
I'll
bed.
just get naked and rub up against you.
What did you think of the
Tribalism.
what did you think of the sequence where the dude was talking to another guy and shot the girl across in their office?
That was funny.
What did it mean?
Well,
I don't think
that's
much
what I was
meaning.
hoping we were going to spend this time talking about, because
Yeah.
the first half of the movie, if you take out
half.
that scene, the scene with the two guys in the diner going to the weird thing in the dumpster in the back.
This shit
Yeah.
behind Scott.
Oh, that was
With Bob too.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's a couple of these things that kind of drop themselves into the middle of what is a fairly easy to follow, while completely over stylized version of girl gets off the bus from Ottawa or wherever the fuck she is, Ontario, to make it in Hollywood.
River,
Alberta?
Ontario.
And then literally
I think she's from Alberta.
hits every jackpot on her way to becoming some kind of a ingenue star or whatever, while also being in the middle of a Nancy Drew mystery.
That's true. The Nancy Drew
but
mystery
then
part.
there-
is-
And
the
being
Lynch-
in the middle of a housewife on the verge.
Lynch can't leave well enough alone, so you've got to have like these curveballs that come out of nowhere, and you spend the whole time going, okay, is this just here to like chew up the clock, or is this supposed to mean something? And again, in the context of, at least for me anyway, believing that the first half of the movie is the story told by an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
I'm looking for meaning, and I'm not sure it's there.
I
No,
thought
it's
that
not.
I thought the asides, like the stuff in Winkies and the stuff in that little office where the assassin shoots the other guy,
The Black Book.
with the black book, were
wants the black
also
book.
the entire long the Adam Kesher thing where there goes the wife and like kind of thing. I
Yeah.
think
God,
that
I want to
was-
talk about the end of this so much, and I'm so mad at you.
I know.
This up.
Let's just we can do it. We can do the
So-
5 minutes in this. We can get to the end. But
Is Adam Kesher is it the same actor who plays the guy opposite Fischler in Winkies?
no, a different guy.
It's a different guy.
I
Okay,
can't remember
good.
this guy, the guy who's the lead in Winkies part, but he was in a lot of Fox movies and very familiar face. He was in Mad Men. He's kind of
Wait, are we talking about the guy playing the director?
No, the guy in Winkies playing the guy who had the trauma.
The guy
No,
with the
no,
dream.
he's the guy who's talking to him.
The guy who had the dream in Winkies.
No, the guy who had the dream was in Mad Men.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was.
the other
guy
Yeah.
in
He
Mad
played a
Men?
stand-up comedian in that, but he's got a real distinctive face,
So I just want to say one thing about this is that I watched this twice over the last week, and
Wow.
I say watched it
well, first
because
of all, well
I
done.
literally fell asleep during watching it the first time because it's so fucking boring. Like, it's just nothing happens for the first hour and a half of this movie, and it's just like I'm just like I can't, and then eventually I just was out, and then I had to get up this morning and watch it again, and like tape my eyes open like fucking like Clockwork Orange, and just like, no, you have to watch this. You're required to watch this for the podcast. And I hated this when I saw it in the theater the first time, and I hated it again when I watched it this time. And it's boring as fuck. And then you get to the end, which we'll talk about later, and it's like, oh, this is a vaguely interesting movie. Like, oh god damn it. This is so masturbatory. Everything about this movie is masturbatory. He thinks he's the coolest fucking person on the planet. He thinks he's directing the coolest movie on the planet. And it's just like, please stop. Please,
Well,
Have
please
you
stop.
ever seen any of his artwork?
Yeah, it's also terrible.
It's also terrible.
Well, you know what? In the respect that any director, you'd hope if you hired someone to direct a film would say, I'm the coolest person ever and I'm making the coolest thing ever. that's kind of what you want.
Yeah, but the Wachowskis are actually cool.
No,
and
they're
David
not.
Lynch is not.
Oh my God. They were cool in the first Matrix, but the second and third one, they were just like, I was on autopilot, I thought. Okay, fine.
Actually, worse than autopilot, they just gave into all their worst impulses.
Yeah, exactly. But
There was nobody
that's neither here nor
controlling
there.
them.
I think that it was the vision of the thing, the way that the story flowed in the first half of the first part. I got
What story? What's the story?
The story
Here's
is
the story.
Yeah. Also, when you're done with that, recap Twin Peaks for me to explain that show.
I'm not gonna recap Twin Peaks. Well, I remember this. We're driving to Los Angeles now and explaining this movie to you again.
I remember that, Scott.
Okay.
It made sense at the time, but I don't think you could
I don't
convince
think
me
it's
this
that
time.
hard to figure
But
out.
I can't go into it without going into the second.
It's
half
not
of the
hard to
thing.
figure out. It's boring. Those are
No.
different
But
things.
no, that's
yeah,
just-
well,
that's
that's like your
listen.
opinion, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's unfortunate that I'm right, but here we are.
Now, I don't think it's boring, Tad. I was not bored, but I was just, well, I'll tell you what, Scott. I
Yeah.
wish I hadn't watched this movie again because I had good memories. I had good memories of liking it.
Of
Sheila said
course.
I'm stealing her line because she said the same thing. But my reaction was the same. I guess I'm just like a little jaded, a little older, and it's like he's got a small bag of tricks,
No,
David Lynch.
you know, one thing think
A
has
very
happened over
small
the
bag.
since 2001
And
to
it's
now.
the same bag, and it's the
No,
same
hold on.
bag as Twin Peaks, the same bag as Lost
No,
Highway.
Twin
I know.
Peaks-
No,
Twin
I'm
Peaks
not,
is
John,
better.
I'm going to agree
Twin
with
Peaks
you.
is better.
Hold
and
on.
Twin Peaks is better because he had a co-writer.
Yeah.
He had somebody to reel him back.
Yeah.
Twin
like-
Peaks is better, but I stopped watching it the second season when I realized they were making this up as they went along. It was
Yeah.
never going to make
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
There was never going to be a reason for
It
that
never
horse
was,
third
yeah.
season,
for that
right?
for that horse to be in the living room.
Yeah.
You know, he's just making it up as he goes along. It must be easy.
Yeah.
No, but
John,
he had somebody to haul him back.
I
Which
hear
is
you.
why the first season of Twin Peaks is great.
Mhm.
Like the first season of Twin Peaks rules.
It's
and
pure-
then,
it's pure
and then
ed.
the second season of Twin Peaks is like, oh come on.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, they're letting him go further and further.
No,
and
we
further.
waited a whole season for the guy to take his bulletproof vest off, and like that's a whole 9 yards. But
There was a chess game. I remember there was a lot of time spent on a chess game.
John, I'm going to agree with you. Watching this again this week, I was impressed because I want, not saying I want to be impressed, but I was impressed by the things I liked about it. Were still, I thought, powerful, but it has the world caught up to this movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're all jaded. All the tricks that he's pulled out that was surprising in 2001, lesser filmmakers have beaten to death at this point.
Yeah, and also
better
we've seen it-
filmmakers have done it
No,
too.
worse filmmakers have borrowed
No,
the whole
both.
unreliable
You're-
narrator.
No,
thing,
there's both.
and
There's
the whole
both
9 yards. It's just
better-
like it just feels more familiar in a bad way and then in a good way in some ways.
Mhm.
I'd rather
I-
watch Gone Girl again, honestly. Like
Gone
and
Girl
I,
owes a lot to this movie.
I don't even like Gone Girl,
Uh-huh.
and I'd rather watch Gone Girl
Uh-huh.
again.
Is Gone Girl the Fincher one?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Dragon Tattoo movies owe a lot to
I
this
like that
movie.
movie.
And that's the thing. It's
Wait,
like
which one? The American one or the?
Yeah, well,
actual-
I'm not sure about the Swedish one. I saw it
the
once.
Swedish one. The Swedish ones are fucking brutal.
No, I was more confused than anything.
in a way, in a way that
It
this
was-
is not, and
Did
it
something
should
be
be.
too Swedish?
This movie should be more brutal.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing is, again, I think they're pulling their punches because it's a TV show. But I thought that at the end, the ideas in this film held up pretty well. And
who makes a
the-
3-hour
the-
TV pilot? This
well,
asshole.
David Lynch does, and the thing is, there's a logic to it, a weird logic that runs along, and includes all the little sidecars. And one of the things I like about films like this is a Buckaroo Banzai argument is about empty space. If it doesn't,
Buckaroo Banzai is a great movie.
But the thing is,
Fuck you. Don't bring that up in
anything that
connection with
doesn't
this.
actually address the narrative, I think, is a positive. Anything that's random bullshit that doesn't actually advance the plot makes it feel more real. And that's,
I want
this
to.
is
Sorry,
moving in
I
spades.
want to hear from Chris because Chris is
Yes,
making
Chris.
a lot of faces at us, and I want to know what his fucking opinion is on this because he's just over there going
He's
like,
just having a
I'm just
mini
letting
stroke.
you guys roll.
I just want to interject that I always have fun rewatching when Scott, you edit and put up the episodes. It's always fun to watch Chris because
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't get enough of it during this
No.
call, but
He's the secret owner of this
you
goddamn
could
show.
just watch him. He's right here.
I know.
I guess All right, so I'll say that I don't think this is the best of Lynch. I would reserve that for Elephant Man, Eraserhead, and Blue Velvet. But I would put it in like next tier. Like
It's
I'd
not
say
the
like
worst.
This Wild at Heart,
Yeah.
Lost Highway,
Yeah.
and
I'd
I
rather
actually
watch
think this
all
movie
of those
is way
movies.
more-
I really would rather watch all those movies. That's what I have to
Well,
say.
Be
I would
quiet.
put this in the same.
The
I would
adults
put this
are
movie in the
talking.
same. You know, I actually think this
Fuck
has got
you.
more in common with Lost Highway than almost anything else he's done.
But Lost Highway is better.
Well,
You know what? Someone described Lost Highway and Wild at Heart.
Is Lost Highway the one that's basically
Those are kind of like his road
Lawnmower
movies.
Man?
Is kind of like
it's another fugue. It's another tale told by an unreliable narrator. You know, he spends, I believe he's spending most of the movie in a cell, and what we're watching is what's going on in his head. Yeah, I guess, you know, you could argue, yeah, sure, Lynch has got the same bag of tricks he's been using a long time, but I just find this, I liked it the first time. I liked it a lot the first time. I liked it still this time because I find what I like about it, I still find hypnotic. I find Naomi Watts luminous with a capital L. I cannot take my eyes off of her in this movie. Yes, it's this kind of sort of weird, like I said, it's Douglas Sirk on acid with the Nancy Drew mystery in the middle of it. But that's just, I just went with it, and you know, even the weird ass stuff that he throws in to confuse us, I still find highly watchable. I like the music, the Badalamenti music. And just
And
knowing
his cameo
that
with
the first 2 hours is, you know, again, like, this is the way things are supposed to be.
Oh, you know, that's,
and-
let me jump up and address that it kind of got a Nancy Drew kind of a conventional narrative about what, you know, reality and Hollywood and her kind of trying to figure his mystery out with a bunch of sides. But once when she wakes up and starts saying Silencio and they go to the club,
Yeah.
it just goes into fifth gear. And it's just,
Right.
it is, I thought that sequence, the whole Silencio part, was talking to me at a deep level.
This movie has no. You could argue. I guess a lot of you guys don't like it anymore. I don't believe. This movie does not. This movie should not be as watchable as it is, because I know it started out as a thing and then got edited into another thing, and the fact that it still works is still kind of remarkable to me.
It is remarkable.
So I want to ask Chris a question. Don't you think you would have watched Naomi Watts in anything at this point in time?
Well, I still will watch her in anything.
Right,
because this movie made her famous.
King Kong?
No, but my point is, like, she's bigger than the narrative here. Like, she as an actress, she does a better job than what she's given. Like, I really feel like she rises above the material.
Well, no, you're saying she's great.
Okay.
You're saying Naomi Watts is greater than some of the parts of this film.
Yes.
Yeah, I disagree, because one of the things that David Lynch does is he casts female characters and actors really well. I thought that, like,
he cast a
mediocre
good
actors like the ones that were in Twin Peaks. They were shiny. They're arresting in Twin Peaks.
But she's not a mediocre actress.
Some directors can able to kind of channel that.
But she's not a mediocre actress.
No, she's not. She's a great actress. She had years doing Neighbors in Australia before doing.
I wish she was in something else. Like, I'd rather watch her in something else than this.
But Herring, the opposite side was she was like really doing minor stuff, and she came in this film and he was able to get a fantastic performance out of her.
Very.
Yeah, and so.
But I'm not talking about her. I'm specifically talking about Naomi Watts.
Can't be questioned. I think. It's just in terms of directing actors, and not talking about putting together weird narratives or channeling a subconscious. Just directing actors and finding the right people for the job.
Yeah, not everybody can
do that.
If he had a friend who was a good writer, he would be amazing. Like, the problem is he writes his own bullshit.
Okay,
and then
so
we get this.
But hold on though, the fact that Naomi Watts transcends the material that she's given still makes this, in my view, a very watchable movie.
Yeah.
Again,
Like, it's almost
I fell
just doesn't
asleep
matter.
watching it. I fell asleep watching it. Like that's the worst. That's the worst review I can give it. Is it didn't
Also,
hold my attention.
Also, a shout out to the locations in this film. That funky little that courtyard.
Very much.
And
It's
apartment,
like Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard, and the
time.
one that was the one that they were investigating. That's a little cool little, like basically an old trailer court from the 20s, all done in storybook style with all the handmade wood in the door and like that. It was just really trippy, seeing it kind of like.
And the apartment, her aunt's apartment that she stays in, is just like
old Hollywood, man.
Well, and what's her name? Was it Ann Miller?
Ann Miller.
Ann Miller is the
landlady.
Yeah, she was great. Call me Coco. Everybody does.
So also acting like she couldn't act.
Yeah, well said.
None of you guys have any theories about whether like those scenes, the curveball scenes, are supposed to mean anything? I mean, I'm sure I could go.
Okay, so
no, that's whole. We could stop any time for part 2 because we can put this all together.
Can we run down
this is all
curveball scenes?
Half.
Curveball scenes would include the whole shooting in the office to get the black book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is diverting and entertaining. I thought it was like slapstick. It was like, murder slapstick.
Yeah.
Then there's a whole lot of time spent on pick this actress. Don't pick that other actress. Pick this actress.
A lot of
and all the ridiculous phone calls and the guy in the glass room.
Yeah.
Is that a curveball?
The only one I feel like I could read anything into the whole pick this actress thing is that it's basically feeding the idea that, and we're going to the second part, but she didn't get what was coming to her because they picked another actress, and because there was a conspiracy to pick another actress, and that's why she's not famous.
I read that's part 2, but again, we can stop anytime. But one thing I read about the Chad Everett scene, with her and Chad Everett,
Which is great.
David Lynch definitely respects the actor's job, and he wanted to show it off a bit because I think he just had to stand back and watch. This is how actors do their thing, and I think he was kind of like, he put the clutch in and let them do their thing and show us how it works.
Yeah,
you saw the rehearsal.
Best scene in the movie.
Yeah, you saw the rehearsal with Elena Herring, and it was kind of like flat, and she went in there with Chad Everett, and it was like dynamite.
To me, that was the smartest thing that he did, was setting it up with a bad performance of the same scene, and then them laughing and making fun of the script, and then she goes in and nails it with Chad Everett. That's breathtaking.
Yeah. Yes. And afterwards, they were like, you can tell everyone was just like, wow. They actually literally say, wow, where'd you find this woman?
This?
And it was like, again, the promise was amazing, and she ran off at the end.
Could have, should have, didn't.
I know.
We've talked in the past about not showing the thing, whether it's the book or the play or whatever. Here we got shown the thing, and it absolutely lived up. It's like she should go to Hollywood and be an actress because she's fucking great.
So the thing that struck me, I went into this like playtime because I really disliked it when I saw it I either saw it in the theater or on video first time, and then now this time. And it took me twice. I started watching it on my computer. I didn't even want to watch it on TV. And then I said, oh, it's too dark because the opening is like, there's no lights at all. So then I said, okay, I'll go back and I'll watch it. And so I started watching it again after like the first 20 minutes and on TV, and got captivated and sort of enjoyed myself all the way through. While I don't find it boring, I don't find it Lynch's best offering. And there's definitely the thing that I took away from it is when Del Rio sings Crying in Spanish. I kept thinking, David Lynch must have gotten to second or third base while a Roy Orbison song was playing.
He has the thing about Roy Orbison, I'll give you that. The candy-colored clown.
So I would like to talk about the second half.
All right.